Hello all, a Knife Tale here, bringing you a knife summary of a knife I've done a review on. This is the Jack Wolf, I want to say Bionic Jack. I remember the original one's called yeah, it's the Bionic Jack. This is the locking version of the original non-locking slip joint version that had, it was a Cyber or Cybertronic or something like that, Jack. And let's just take a quick look at this thing. As most Jack Wolf knives, it is a small, sort of modernized, traditional pattern knife that is a front flipper with some sort of typically fuller that can be used for reverse licking deployment and kind of thumb flicking deployment. Not really very good. It's got a light enough detent that you can get it out there. And there's a hollow grind, so you got a little bit of grip from the blade. It is a titanium bolster frame lock kind of thing. In this case, it's got crystallized blue purple inlays on it. There were a number of variants of this. This is just one of them that was exclusive, I believe, to the Knife Center. But it was pretty attractive, and this was the one I wanted. As with most Jack Wolf knives, it's not a huge knife. It is a little over 7.5. You have almost about 3.25 of blade, but you only have about 3 inches of actual blade length because you got the tang sticking out here. And you have almost 3 inches of blade cutting edge. In fact, arguably because of how much belly and curve it has, you have more than 3 inches of cutting edge. This knife is in S90V with a hand satin on this particular one. I don't know if there were too many variants of finishes. I know there was a black bladed, at least one black bladed one. It is on bearings, which you can actually see right there. The stop pin is internal, and it is right there. You can kind of see it. It's not mounted to the blade, but it's internal, which I'm perfectly happy about. So, of course, you can always get to that access to sharpen without worry or cutting more plunge, though you don't have to worry too much. The plunge grind does stop right behind the edge, which I wish they'd pulled that back a little bit, especially considering they gave you such a deep choil, but they gave you such a deep choil, so it should be relatively mitigatable for smile as far as... And it'll probably come in pretty slow, as I don't think you're working your way too much up that. Though it is very, very thin behind the edge. As I mentioned, these are hollow ground. This one does give you a little bit more strength out at the tip. It actually gets thicker at the tip. I mean, it still looks thin, but it's definitely thicker than it is down here. Very thin, very slicey. Sort of almost gentlemanly carry. I mean, if you want to go... Because they're got that sort of traditional patterning to them. Jack Wolf logo right there, pretty much off the blade. The blade is actually pretty sterile, and it, as always, it makes the knife look better. You've got a bit of a slightly chalky finish, not too heavy, but a slightly chalky finish on the blasted titanium. Polished, full-length backspacer. The backspacer isn't always polished, and the clip isn't always polished, but it is always full length, which is a really nice touch. It certainly gives that slip joint aesthetic. I don't believe there's any... No, there's no milling on the inside, but for most variants, because it's like there's a wood inlay, there's carbon fiber inlays, I think there's a micartas, it shouldn't be too heavy. This one, of course, says crystallized tie, so there's no weight reduction, really, because it's just replacing what they cut out with more titanium. But it's still not a heavy knife. It's small. It's definitely pocketable, carryable. Good retention on the pocket clip. It's a little stiff, but it's definitely got some good retention. Very comfortable in the hand. A little bit of an arch, so the blade points a little bit more forward. This way, down, kind of, cants. As usual, you get your standard Jack Wolf stuff, which you still get a pog, and you still get a cloth, but this one didn't come with a slip, which is interesting, because you still get the filler tab if you want to take the clip off. And I thought that was the point of the slip, but this one did not have a slip. I want to know if that's like, was that a miss on mine? Did yours come with a slip? If you have one, if you've ever seen one? I mean, some of my earlier Jack Wolf ones came with a slip, but this one did not. Maybe they did away with the slip. I don't know. And, as with pretty much any other folding Jack Wolf knife that is front flipper, it has two minor issues. One, while the front flipper does work just perfectly well, the jimping is not great. It's a little bit too sharp, and it's the wide jimping. And it has to be a little sharp to make sure it catches because it's the wide jimping. If it was a little finer jimping, you could probably get away with softening it. This one, unlike some of them, doesn't have too bad of a detent, so it's not like super uncomfortable to interact with, and it does definitely grip you. But in this position, even though it's grippy jimping, it really doesn't offer any traction because it's just that wide kind of jimping that's sort of, I don't know, it's just not great. It's not the kind of jimping I like to see. It doesn't wrap around the front flipper. It works just fine on this one, but I could definitely see it getting uncomfortable if you try to, you know, fidget with this thing for a while on your finger. Like, it's going to start tearing into you. It works, but it could be better. And the other thing with Jack Wolf, and this is the one that I don't actually mind, is lock bar access. You don't really get lock bar access on Jack Wolf's locking knives, at least not the ones they've done so far. You have chamfers in here, so you can get there, kind of diagonal, but mostly from the front, without any real issue. But if you're a stickler for lock bar access and you want to come in from the side every time, this is not necessarily the brand for you because, yeah, they don't do that. It's obviously meant to maintain the modern sort of slip joint aesthetic. So I'm not going to complain too much because there's a point to it, but it is something to take note of. The only other thing is, this is the Bionic Jack. I really wish they had given us, like, a sleek sort of, like, Tonto for this thing, instead of going with this old school with this belly pattern. Just mix it up. They haven't done a Tonto, and this was, like, the shapes and angles on the handle and on the rest of the knife just really lend itself to, like, if they had just given us a clip point, not even a trailing clip point, but just a straight clip point to right there, Tonto, and just made this a straight Tonto, I think it would have fit the aesthetic of the knife better. Now, that might all add up to sounding like I don't like this knife. I love this knife. I really do. This is a great knife. Jack Wolf makes some great knives. This is a good one. I have two others like them too, but I see some untapped potential here, right? Or some general things that could be slightly improved. Quality-wise, though, it's excellent. Excellent knife. As always for Jack Wolf. And even though you can see that there's this point on the titanium, it's nicely rounded just enough, and it sits in a way that it sort of like just guides your finger along it instead of jabbing into it and jamming. I mean, you can't really feel it, really, unless you really like jam into it this way. If you do jam into it that way, which, I mean, I don't know how you would do that with the knife, but yeah, okay, fine. But other than that, it's actually not nearly the problem that you might think it would be. So, just a quick little check-in with the Jack Wolf in the summary. You can check out the full review. It will be linked down below as always. And thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, etc. if you want to. I appreciate it. Channel would appreciate it. I mean, I am the channel, so... And that's everything. So I will see you in the next one. Let's just end looking at this nice crystal tie. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching.